All right, let's talk about something you've probably heard a million times, maybe even started to believe yourself, that blogging is dead. But what if I told you that's not just wrong, but that there's a case study that proves it? Today, we're going to dive into that story, and it completely flips the script on how we should think about content.
I mean, if you're in the content game at all, this question has to be on your mind, right? You've got AI coming for everything. Google's algorithm seems to change every other Tuesday. It feels like the ground is just constantly shifting. So, is putting all that time and energy into a blog even worth it anymore? So, let's ground this in a real story. Picture this: a client's blog, which was being run by a pretty traditional SEO team, suddenly saw its traffic just completely flatline. It just stopped growing. And their immediate thought was, well, it must be AI taking over, or worse, maybe blogging is just done. That's a scary place to be, especially if your business depends on that traffic.
But here's where it gets really cool. Instead of just giving up, they decided to do something kind of bold. They ran an experiment, a real head-to-head showdown on the same website. The old way of doing SEO versus a totally new approach. And this slide really breaks down the two opposing sides. In one corner, you've got the old guard, totally obsessed with pleasing the search engine bots, right? They're thinking about keywords, search volume, topic clusters, you know the drill. And in the other corner, you have the challenger, which basically decided to ignore all of that and focus on just one thing: writing for actual human beings who are looking for real solutions. So the stage was set. One team writing for bots, the other writing for people. They let the experiment run, they collected all the data, and the results, well, let's just say they weren't just a little interesting. They were a total game changer. This was the million-dollar question, wasn't it? Which strategy was actually going to work? Was the old SEO playbook still the king? Or was it time to just tear it all up and start fresh? And the answer couldn't have been more obvious. I mean, look at this. It wasn't even close. The old keyword-focused blog, it went absolutely nowhere. We're talking almost zero traffic. But the human-focused blog, it took off like a rocket ship. The data is just crystal clear. Writing for people is what gets you results, period. But check this out. This is the really wild part. It wasn't just a quick win. This human-first content had some serious long-term power. You know those big, scary Google Core updates that make every marketer panic? Every time one of those rolled out, this content actually got stronger. Even older posts just kept on climbing in the rankings. That's just incredible. Okay, so we know the human-first approach crushed it. But why? What were the actual tangible differences that made it work so much better? Let's pop the hood and really take a look at the anatomy of these winning posts. So first up, the style. The failing blog was basically talking to a robot. It was all about hitting the right keyword density, stuffing keywords into every single header. It was written for a tool. The winning blog, it did the exact opposite. It was laser-focused on answering a person's question completely, used simple headers you could actually scan, and had zero, and I mean zero corporate fluff, just pure, actionable, helpful stuff. And this right here, this might be the most important difference of all. Both teams looked at Google's People Also Ask section, but the failing team just took those questions and churned out generic blog posts. The winning team used those questions to understand the deeper intent. They weren't asking, what keywords do people use? They were asking, what problem are they really trying to solve here? And how can we create the absolute best, most complete solution on the entire internet for them? See the difference? It's huge. What's almost more telling is what the winning blog didn't do. They basically threw the old SEO rulebook out the window. There was no obsessive link building, no worrying about keyword density, no strict word counts. They just focused on being genuinely helpful, and the results followed. It's a way simpler and, let's be honest, a much more fulfilling way to create content. So, you've seen the proof. Now you're probably wondering, okay, how do I actually do this? Well, the good news is this case study doesn't just show us the results, it gives us the whole playbook. And it's not about complicated tricks, it's a super straightforward strategy that puts your audience right in the middle of everything. And here it is, the 5 simple steps. Step 1, listen. Figure out the actual words your audience uses, not just your internal company jargon. Step 2, dig deeper to understand their real intent. What's the problem behind the search? Step 3, outline a complete solution and ruthlessly cut out anything that isn't 100% on topic. Step 4, write for absolute clarity, like you're explaining it to a smart friend.
And finally, step 5, be consistent. Build that trust with both your readers and the search engines. That's it. That's the core strategy that drove these amazing results. And the person who ran this whole study had a great way of putting it. Think about it. Trying to fix a website that's just loaded with low-quality, bot-focused stuff, it's just an exhausting uphill battle. Building that solid foundation of helpful, human-first content right from the start isn't just better for SEO, it saves you from so much frustration down the line. And that really brings us to the final big idea. This whole case study, everything we've talked about, it all boils down to this one powerful shift. What would happen if your entire content strategy changed from chasing keywords to just solving problems for people? Because according to this data, that might just be the most powerful SEO strategy there is.